What an auspicious time in the world we are living. I would suggest for the Jewish people, it's never been so amazing. What? How could it be so amazing? It depends. If you see with your physical eye, you see with your mind's eye. And even with your physical eye now you could see how amazing it is to be a Jew. Anybody that's Jewish, some might have some fear and trepidation of what's going on with anti-Semitism, a war in Israel. But beyond that, the sense of, wow, how lucky I am. I'm a Jew, part of the Jewish people. Who have not only survived and outlived all other cultures and nations, but do so with our head held up high in a sense of pride in who we are, people of God, to bring the word of God to all of humanity. And that's what the Tanya is, to bring the word of God to all of humanity. Quite frankly, it was written for the Jewish people, the followers of the Alter Rebbe. Excuse me. But at the same time, it is what will lead us out of this dark and deep exile, marching towards Mashiach. These are the teachings that are going to be there with us to do that. And, of course, marching out of exile are all nations of the world in the light of Torah. So, of course, therefore, the teachings have a value and an importance to the nations of the world. But how blessed it is in these times that we can count ourselves to be part of such a people. Oh, take that in for a moment. Welcome to Tanya Today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We continue with the idea of the human perspective versus the divine perspective. Yesterday, we spoke about an esrog and how from a human perspective it's just a lemon, from the lemon family at least, citron fruit or citron family. But from a divine perspective, it's imbued with a divine light, name of Sag above, that comes down below and imbues it, and hence makes it holy. It's not holy because I just view it that way and I deal with it in a holy way. No, it's holy because of the vitality of God that imbues it, that initially was klipa, a shell that covers over the holiness of God, the light of God. But then through the act of a mitzvah, it now becomes endowed with a light of God that is of the world of Tohu, which we learned yesterday at great length in the JLI course. Whoever came, whoever's part of it. Wow, powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. So, um, so that notion, human engagement is using your mind to come to a love and awe of God. Right? That's like the epitome of human engagement, right? As opposed to the opposite, that the mind is just following the instinct, the animal instinct that we have, and justifies our behaviors, brings us to rationalize, being self-absorbed and self-centered. So the mind is serving the emotional instinct. But the epitome of humanness is intellectually generated love and awe of God. But that's all human, meaning that the attachment to the divine is in a created light of the worlds of Bria, Yitzir and Asiya, not reaching beyond. You can't reach beyond because it's humanly developed, as opposed to the detailed laws of Torah, which are supreme wisdom, right? So the supreme wisdom is enclosed in the detailed teachings of the Torah, and each detail matters. The detail matters because it's a reflection of supreme wisdom of God that is beyond the creative force of God. And that clothes itself in the teachings of the Torah, that when you study, you're bound up to the supreme wisdom. Now, what you're studying is like a physical thing, right? Like you're studying a law of an ox that, gored a cow. Shor Shnagil Zapara. So the ox and the cow that we're talking about, right? So that, by the way, is also created by the supreme radiance or the supreme wisdom of God. Everything comes from God's wisdom. That's why you could look at a leaf and be wowed out, because its divine wisdom is embedded even in a simple leaf. Or if you look under the microscope and see, the hidden world under a subatomic microscope and seeing the atoms and how they conduct themselves, you get a sense of awesomeness. Why? Because ultimately it's coming from the supreme wisdom of God. But that supreme wisdom of God, as it reflects itself in a stone and a leaf, or in the ox and the cow that the Torah learning that we're learning about, right? And the Torah learning that we learn about, there is also, again, supreme wisdom, but that supreme wisdom is hidden. It's hidden. We don't perceive it. Right? And you got to work hard maybe to find it, but it's hidden. But not in the Torah study. That's also supreme wisdom, because when it came down in a way that it sort of didn't get affected by the various worlds it comes down into. It doesn't garb itself in the klipa, the shell that covers over on the divine, and as it comes down further and further, the shell is, first it's maybe a thin shell, like apple has a shell to it, right? It's got a skin, edible skin. Then you come down into the next world, and you've got an orange. It's also got a shell, but non-edible. I mean, yes, you could make some kind of chocolate out of it or other things, but for the most part, it's not edible, right? And then you come down into a lower world, and it's like a walnut, totally inedible, totally a shell that's covering, right? Even more so. So that comes down into the ox and the cow that the Mishnah is talking about, the Torah study is talking about. But the object that's talking about, the divine wisdom, it's covered over. It's in a shell, a walnut shell, right? As opposed to the teachings itself, the Torah teachings itself, is also divine wisdom. It's not covered over. It didn't, and it's come down over here, and how we study it down here, it is still an expression, a direct expression of divine wisdom, as it vests itself in Malchus, in Malchus, in royalty. The Word of God is the Word of God as it expresses itself. And that's our thought for today. So something can come from the same place, but its journey could be different. Right? Its journey can be different. That's one thing. And it can come from the same place, but it loses its connection to its source. Ultimately, nothing loses, right? Nothing can lose its divine connection. The question is how much it expresses it. All right. That was a bit heavy duty. Well, we're coming to the end of Tanya. Wow. We have another 7 days to go. That's just some greetings here to Cindy, Mark, Vida and Liba, Eugenia, Czar, Joseph, Rebecca, John, Joyce, Art, Michelle, Jane, Bernice, Stephen, Susanna, Carmen Mordechai, Irma, Greta, Vilma, Rachel, Akoi. All right. Yes, Mordechai. It's very challenging. It's very Kabbalistic. We're coming to the end of this heavy-duty stuff. And, yeah. Agreed. Lori. All right, folks. We're going to continue our conversation. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, come to you with Chabad Zich and Kadesh in Montreal, Canada. It was a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Thank you for joining. Rambam, please join us. God bless you. And of course, Diane. Great day.